Zeus broke an oath, how he shaped Olympus in the lightning thief. The big three gods of Olympus, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, made a promise not to sire demigod children. They believed that children of gods this powerful would be too dangerous, too unstable, too likely to bring chaos into the world. And for a while, that oath held. But eventually it was broken. Zeus, the god of the sky, thunder and lightning, and the king of the gods, broke it first. When he had a daughter with a mortal, her name was Thalia Grace. And what's important to understand here is this. The consequences of that single decision did not stop with Thalia. Her story connects directly to Camp Half-Blood, to the pine tree that protects it, to Lucastalon's growing bitterness towards the gods, and to the distrust that slowly spreads between the three brothers themselves. That same distrust becomes the foundation of the Lightning Thief's central conflict, because by the time Percy Jackson enters this world, Zeus and Hades both believe they have been betrayed. And Percy, the son of Poseidon, becomes the one caught in the middle. So in this video, I want to trace how one broken oath created ripple effects that shaped everything Percy walks into, from monsters to mistrust, to the theft of Zeus' lightning bolt and Hades' helm of darkness. And to understand why this oath mattered so much, we have to start earlier. Long before the oath, there was Kronos. Kronos was the father of the Olympian gods, and he did not trust his children. In The Lightning Thief, Percy explains that Kronos swallowed his children because he feared what they would become. The gods believed strongly in prophecy, and it's possible Kronos received one that warned him that his children would overthrow him. So Kronos tried to prevent that future the only way he knew how. He ate them, but his wife tricked him. Instead of swallowing Zeus, Kronos swallowed a rock. Zeus survived, hidden away, and years later he returned. Zeus forced Kronos to disgorge his other 5 children by feeding him a mixture of mustard and wine. That brought the total number of Kronos' children to 6. Together, those 6 gods defeated their father, sliced him into pieces with his own scythe, and imprisoned him in the deepest part of the underworld, Tartarus. And there is a cruel irony here. Kronos tried to prevent prophecy, and in doing so, he fulfilled it. Zeus survived, and that survival marked the beginning of Kronos' downfall. After Kronos was defeated, Zeus became king of the gods. Not just because he was powerful, but because he saved his siblings and led the overthrow of their father. Out of Kronos' 6 children, 3 rose above the rest: Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. They ruled the sky, the sea, and the underworld. And with that level of power came fear. Fear of instability, fear of war, fear of children who might grow stronger than their parents. So the big three made a pact. They swore an oath never to have demigod children with mortals. A demigod, also called a half-blood, is a child born from a god and a mortal. They believed that children born from gods of this level would be too powerful and would bring even more chaos into the world. The oath was meant to create stability. Instead, it created secrecy, fear, and resentment. Here is where things becomes complicated. Within the world of the story, it is revealed that Hades already had demigod children before agreeing to the oath. Unlike Zeus and Poseidon, Hades kept his children hidden, and that raises important questions. Did Hades agree to the oath because it wouldn't truly affect him, since his children already existed and could remain secret? Did he see them as potential reinforcement for his kingdom in case of future conflict, or did he genuinely agree in good faith? The story never gives a clear answer, but what is clear is that Hades felt deeply bitter once the oath was broken. Now let's move to Percy. Percy Jackson grew up believing he was dyslexic and that he imagined the strange things happening around him. He had no explanation for the monsters, the attacks, or the dangers that followed him wherever he went. Demigods have dyslexia because their brains are wired to read ancient Greek and recognize monsters. Percy didn't know this yet. He just knew that something was wrong. His only real friend was Grover. Grover pretended to be an ordinary student, but he was actually a satyr, half human, half god. Satyrs are tasked with finding demigods and bringing them safely to Camp Half-Blood. Percy didn't yet know what he was, but the world already did. The first known betrayal of the oath came from Zeus. Before Percy was even born, Zeus had a daughter with a mortal, Thalia Grace. Grover was assigned the task of bringing Thalia safely to Camp Half-Blood. Along the way, she was joined by Luke Castellon and Annabeth Chase. Both demigods, both children of less powerful gods. Annabeth is the daughter of Athena, the goddess of wisdom. Luke is the son of Hermes, the god of messenger, travelers, thieves, and commerce. Children of Big Three attract monsters far more stronger than other demigods. And Thalia was no exception. Monsters relentlessly haunted her on the way to camp, and because of Hades' bitterness over the broken pact, monsters were sent after Thalia, the daughter of Zeus. When they were overwhelmed, Thalia made a choice. She stayed behind to hold the monsters off, so Luke, Annabeth, and Grover could escape. Severely wounded, she was saved by Zeus in the only way he could. He turned her into a magical pine tree. Thalia's pine tree became a magical barrier protecting Camp Half-Blood. Monsters could no longer enter unless invited from inside the camp. Her sacrifice made the camp safer for every demigod who came after her, including Percy. But Luke never forgave the gods. Thalia's loss planted the first seed of anger inside him. That anger deepened after his own quest failed, retrieving a golden apple from the garden of the Hesperides, a task that had already been completed by Hercules. Luke returned scarred by the dragon Ladon and emotionally damaged by the gods' indifference. Feeling insulted, neglected, and disposable, his resentment grew. After Zeus broke the pact, and Hades secretly had demigods' children, although it was before the pact, as I found out through research. Poseidon may have felt there was no reason for him to be the only one holding back, whether out of offense, defiance, or love. Poseidon fell in love with Sally Jackson in Montauk. Percy was conceived there. Poseidon left before Percy's birth to protect them, knowing Percy's existence already violated the oath. Because Percy attracted monsters, Sally married Gabe Ugleno, known to Percy as Smelly Gabe, not out of love but because Gabe's powerful human scent masked Percy from monsters. If the oath had never existed, Poseidon might have been present in Percy's life. Zeus might have raised Thalia, and this chain of consequences may never have begun. When Percy was attacked by Mrs. Dodds, a Fury disguised as his pre-algebra teacher during a school trip, it became clear he could no longer remain safe in the mortal world. The Furies serve the underworld and carry out punishment in Hades' domain. At this point, Hades didn't yet know whose child Percy was, only that he belonged to either Zeus or Poseidon. After Percy was claimed by Poseidon, Hades would draw his conclusion. Percy was sent away from school and eventually to Camp Half-Blood. There was no going back. Zeus' lightning bolt, the symbol of his authority, was stolen. At the same time, Hades' helm of darkness disappeared. Both gods believed Poseidon had betrayed them. Once Percy was claimed, he became the prime suspect. He was now hunted by Zeus for allegedly stealing the lightning bolt and by Hades for both his birth and the supposed theft of the helm. What none of them realized was that this wasn't chaos, it was a plan. Kronos used Luke Castellon to steal the Helm of Darkness. Luke then used it to steal Zeus' lightning bolt. Luke's hatred, born from Thalia's loss and deepened by his failed quest, made him vulnerable to Kronos' influence. Kronos offered Luke something the gods never did: purpose. Luke secretly allowed monsters into Camp Half-Blood, making the camp unsafe for Percy and forcing the gods' hand. His ultimate goal wasn't just war, it was to drag Percy along with the stolen weapon into Tartarus, where Kronos was imprisoned. This is where Ares comes in. Ares, the god of war, was sent to retrieve the stolen lightning bolt. He succeeded in finding Luke with both the lightning bolt and the Helm of Darkness, but Luke deceived him under Kronos' guidance. Ares allowed Luke to go. He didn't return the weapons to Olympus. Instead, he kept them. escalating the conflict. Ares later gave Percy an enchanted backpack, one that concealed Zeus' lightning bolt, until Percy reached the underworld, framing him as the thief. Ares knew the backpack was enchanted and meant to spark war, but he did not know whose plan he was truly serving. Percy was sent on a quest to retrieve the lightning bolt from Hades. When he reached the underworld, he was accused of stealing both the lightning bolt and the helm of darkness, even though he didn't yet realize he was carrying the bolt. Before the journey, Luke had already laid another trap. He gave Percy cursed flying shoes, originally passed down from Hermes, enchanted to drag the wearer into Tartarus, along with a stolen weapon. The backpack itself was given to Percy by Ares as a reward for returning his shield, disguising the trap as a favor. Fearing Zeus' wrath if he flew, Percy gave the shoes to Grover instead. Unknowingly avoiding Luke's plan, Percy succeeded in his quest. In the underworld, the lightning bolt revealed itself inside his backpack. Percy returned it to Olympus. Hades, however, still believed Percy had stolen the helm of darkness. Percy promised that he will find it and return it, and it was after Percy fought Ares and recovered it. Luke, secretly furious that Percy survived and ruined the plan, lured him into the woods and tried to kill him with a scorpion. Percy survived. Only at the very end, after the quest was completed, after the lightning bolt was returned, and after Percy survived Luke's betrayal, did Percy finally tell the gods the full truth. He explained what Luke had done. He told them about Cronus. He revealed how the theft had been orchestrated from the beginning. The gods had him, but by then, everything that the truth could have prevented had already happened. The mistrust between Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades had already shaped their decision throughout the lightning thief, and the truth came too late to undo it. Hades had already been accused of theft, based on the assumption that war would benefit him, that more death would expand his kingdom, but that assumption was wrong. Hades didn't want more people to die. His kingdom was already overflowing, stretched thin, and nearing collapse. More souls didn't mean more power, they meant more burden. Percy, meanwhile, had already been blamed because Poseidon claimed him in the middle of the crisis. The other gods believed Percy had been used, that Poseidon had stolen the lightning bolt through his son, since gods themselves couldn't act so openly. Zeus believed Poseidon wanted to overthrow him, and Poseidon, too proud to explain himself, never admitted he hadn't taken the bolt. So even when the truth finally came out, it couldn't reverse what had already been set in motion, and while the gods remained divided, Cronus waited. He fed on their mistrust. A mistrust that existed because the broken oath contributed to it. None of the brothers were completely innocent in keeping the oath. Did Hades agree to it because it wouldn't truly affect him? Did Zeus break it because he believed rules didn't apply to him? Did Poseidon act out of revenge or love? What is clear is that none of what happened in the lightning thief would have unfolded the way it did if the oath had never been broken.